Oh, and also, I'm in the process of making more and more videos and uploading them, but there's only a limited amount of time I can do this with. If you ever get stuck with a TI anything, go into YouTube and Google, in the YouTube search engine, I call it Googling, but YouTube search whatever you're looking for, and guaranteed there's a dozen, if not more, videos on how to do it in YouTube already. So if you ever need TI help and you can't find the place in my video where it is, go into YouTube and use that as a resource. Making a histogram in a TI-83. Tons of them. Go for the highest rated one. It probably is pretty good. Probably is pretty good. I only know this via, I happened into it because I made a scatter plot video in Excel that if you now Google how to make a scatter plot in Excel 2007, it's the first hit because people have been using my video all over the country, all over the world. So there's this beautiful, that's what YouTube is wonderful for. It's a collection of people like me and like other colleagues who just upload stuff, don't lock it behind Blackboard, and people can find it. So use my colleagues, I call them colleagues loosely because I don't even know who the hell they are, but use their videos if they're out there. When you put something on YouTube, it's your agreement. Use it. It's yours too. Cool? All right. So, second y equals, I want to turn my plot 1 on, yes? I'm on scatter plot because we were doing the bike data from 105 yesterday, that was fun. Histogram, yes. Mine says L1, L2, that's wrong for me. My data's in L3, I don't know where you guys put yours. What did you put for a frequency? 1, Tony, yes, raw data, it's raw data. I know it, the reason it doesn't look like it is because it's in a brick. It's still raw data though. It's not grouped. Whenever you have the individual data points, that's raw data, which means as a frequency, make sure that you have that set to just 1. Who's having a hard time getting the number 1? Who keeps getting Y? Who's getting Y? Yes, this is an annoyance. It's something TI will not fix. Please fix it. Here's why. When you arrow down to that frequency list, do you see how the cursor changes and it's got a little A on it? That means you're now stuck in alpha mode. You've got to turn alpha mode off by pressing the green alpha button up top, top left. Press that. Then press 1. Oops, not 0, 1. Annoying as hell, yes? Yes, I don't know why that bug persists. I don't know why that bug persists. It's annoyance. I know why they make it an option, because you can actually name other lists using alpha characters, but hardly anybody uses them. We all use L1 through L6, so it makes more sense just to use the numbers that are already available to us. So, the same thing happens if you pop into XList. The same exact thing happens if you pop into XList, but usually it doesn't matter because we press the second function button and then a number, which overrides the alpha button. So you never even have to worry about that. It also never gets worried about when you have to put a frequency in for, like a list in for a frequency, because you override it. Then the only time it gets an annoyance when you get the Y is when you have to put a 1 there. Cool? That's it. Where do we go from here? Good. Should I just press graph? I love this, Jen. Should I just press graph, or should I press something else, maybe?
Zoom 9.
The easiest thing, I think, to start with is Zoom 9. Why not just graph? Well, what the hell? I'll press graph. There. I pressed graph. What's the problem with just pressing graph? Not always, but usually. Oh, there you go. This is a Math 95 question, I apologize. Is it good? It was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Roll. Hey, I'm calling back to Math 95 skills in Math 105 a little bit. This assumes that whatever window you were just in will also fit your current data. Now maybe you guys are in this window already, in which case graph would work. I was graphing 0 through 11 and 0 through 250, which is not where I need to be. I need to have Facebook friends going from 5 up to 2,000, and then a frequency count. I don't know what the hell that is. That's my speed, I think, from yesterday's 105 class. I'm going to clear those out too. There. So I like Zoom 9. Tony said Zoom 9. I think this is the easiest way to get right to a good looking, there. There she is. There she is. Please, Eric.
Mine says error.
What does it say, error what? Do you have a go-to? Do it again, get the error again, and see if it allows you to go to the error. If you ever get an error and it gives you a go-to it. Yes?
Valid.
That means you're telling it to graph something that there's nothing there for. What list is your data in?
L1.
L1. So when Eric, when you're in here, in plot 1, make sure that this says L1 and that says 1. Okay, do this for me now, Eric. Press just the Y equals button. Do you see this highlighted right here? Just press the Y equals button by itself. Is this highlighted like this?
No, it's plot 1 and plot 3.
Okay, turn plot 3 off, like this. Ready? Over, so it looks like that then, yes?
Okay.
Turn that one off. That's the one causing the problem. Not yours. Yours is fine. This is, thank you, Eric, for bringing this up. Very often, and I've gotten about 5 emails over the past 5 days from you guys and 244. The same thing's happened to a lot of people. The TI sucks at error identification. It says error, dim. Okay, thanks. Which dim? Which error? Where? And a lot of times it'll go to the errors, but sometimes it won't. Like this one won't go to it. The first thing you want to check is that your stuff is right. The stuff you just put in is right. It sounds like yours is perfect. Then you got to make sure nothing else is inadvertently turned on from either something you did before, a 6-year-old in your backpack messing with your stuff. That happens to me all the time. Max gets in there and turns stuff on. So just go and look at other stuff. If anything else is turned on. What I like to do, Eric, clear all the equations out. If there's any equations, and clear those out. That's okay too. And then plot 3, plot 2, make sure they're turned off. So that probably fixed the problem, my friend, I'm guessing. Cool? There you go. Just hit zoom 9 again and we should get something like this. Yeah. I'm going to clean it up a little bit if it's okay with you guys. I can see that it's pretty skewed. Who said it was skewed? I love that, by the way. It's skewed data. Tell me your name again one more time.
Dave.
Dave, thank you, sir. Yeah, I think definitely skewed. Let's make sure that the skewedness isn't just due to the randomness that TI gave you this number of bars. So I'm gonna hit the window button. This is where all that is set up. The TI, when you hit zoom 9, will always start Xmin at the smallest data point you had, which in this case was the 5. Now the largest data point we had was it 2000?
Yes.
It was. So, I don't know, I left the bars open for you guys, the number of friends. How wide do you guys want to make the bars on this one? We got to go to 2000, right? So what do you think? How wide should we make the bar? I don't like this 285 width bar. That's kind of dumb, I think. I think it's kind of silly. Say it again?
5.
5? We're going to have a lot of bars if we do that. That's okay.
200.
Well, let's do 5 first. I like the idea of using 5. The TI might actually get pissed if we try this. Let's try it, though. Let's try it. It might piss.
I'm actually thinking samples of 5 bars of samples of...
Well, that's, I think, what we're talking about here. I think. So 0.
Yeah, right, about 200. I was thinking 200.
Oh! So each bar about 5 high is what you're saying. Is that, no, that's not what you're saying.
You got 2,000, you can divide it by 5.
Oh! So that would be 400.
400.
So 200, okay. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I missed it. Well, when I heard 5, I think you meant the bars. The TI might actually not let you do this. Does it fart out?
Yeah.
Yes. And that's a very telling error. Stat! Yes. If you try to have too many bars, it will give you this error. I like what you guys are saying though. So 200 wide, yes? Let's go 200 wide. I love that. So quit, window. I'm going to start at 0. That seems like a more logical starting point than 5. And go by 200. Now here's a question I have for you guys. This is something we talked about in class on Thursday. What does my X max have to be? If, number 1, my largest data point is 2000, yes? And number 2, the bar width are 200. Does anybody remember what it has to be? I had a couple votes for 2200. It does have to be that big, and here's why. Here's the zoom type. Suppose you very logically go instead to just 2000, which seems perfectly logical, right? If Xmin is 0, which is just close to 5, Xmax should be 2000, right? If you press graph right now on that, there's your histogram. The problem is, because of the way the TI breaks the axis up, your 2000 data point is off the screen. Watch, here's why. Okay, if you press trace, scooch over, these are all the data points between 0 and 200, between 200 and 400, between 400 and 600, up by 200 each time, yes? If you go all the way out to the last bar, you would think that the 2000 is in there. But this is where you have to call in your Math 95, your Math 111 a little tiny bit. Look at these mins and maxes. This is the min and max within that bar. The min value is equal to 1800. The max value is less than 2000. That's how the TI smashes the bars up against one another. It puts the previous one less than 1800, the next one equal to it. This one less than 2000, the next one would be equal to the 2000. So you've got to make room for one more bar on the far side. That's why you'll always see me adding 1 bit extra onto the bars, the X maxes, to make room for that. So I'll go do that right now. Just make this 2200. And there you see him out there now.
What do you press after you get out of the window?
Graph. Oh, very good question. When you're messing, when you finagle, you don't go back to Zoom 9. You're just simply pressing graph at that point. And I'm sorry, thank you for calling me on anything graphical in this class. I always default back to the fact that when I taught Math 95, back in the day, when I taught Math 95, we were graphing on these things every day, half the class. My students were so good at it by the end that and I apologize, I know not everybody does that in Math 95, and I take it for granted sometimes that you all just press window. So thank you for calling me on that, please, and continue to do so. Thank you, yes. You'll get very, very good at this, very, very quickly, because we'll use it all the time. But at the same time, don't let me get too far ahead of us, especially in the learning process, if you have not used it very much. Kelly, yes?
I'm one of those.
That's okay.
I didn't hardly use it, and so I just get frustrated and usually just put it over to the side.
That's okay too, because you can always go back and look at it again.
Well, I can look at it, but it,
No, you can watch the videos again and you can pause me and see what I'm doing.
well, in 105, you had a printout of steps to do certain.
I do.
And do you
No.
make any of the?
I don't have one. I could make one, but it exists. They exist online. Google what you need, you'll find it.
It'll have.
How to make it. Hey,
run it.
hey, thank you for that. Hey, thank you for this, Kelly. Actually, what you're just saying already exists on my enrichment page on the website. So if you're on the website, you usually click on schedule to get to the schedule page. Go down to enrichment. There's a PDF file in there, stats on the TI 83, 84.
To do each like step.
Everything you could ever want to do in this
Okay.
class, table of contents down for you.
Okay.
So there it is waiting for you, my friend. Absolutely. Good question, good question. Including making a histogram, including everything else. Good.
Forget it.
Now, of course you do. We always forget it, unless we use it all the time, which is why I'm telling you we're going to be using this all the time. All right. We like this? I can live with this. You guys want to change it anymore? Do you think the bar should be wider, narrower? Do you like it the way it is? What do you think? What do you think? We live with this? I think it's fine. I think it's fine. And just, you know, the 2-point part of the quiz was just to transfer that onto paper. So essentially what you would do then is you just have to draw in, you know, there's 0, there's 200, there's 400, there's 600. You have to make it better than the TI is doing it for you. There's 800, there's 1,000, there's 1,200. I'm going to start tilting because they're not going to fit anymore. 1,400, 1,600, 1,800, 2,000, and then 2,200. And then you just put some kind of a scale marker up on the vertical. I don't know what the scale is here. It's 25. I can live with that. I can live with that. So it looks like that's 25. This looks like it's 50. That looks like it's 75. Looks like it maybe maxes out at 100. Yeah. So maybe you just adjust your scales on the right side to match the scales there, and just transfer this onto your paper. The big idea is not rigorous perfection in the graph transfer onto the paper. The idea is I'm trying to get a look at the shape of the data. And I think the way Dave described the data is perfect. Highly skewed. As evidenced by the average. Remember the average was 470? Yeah? The average was 470. 470 is like over here. Yes? 470 is over here. A lot of the data, the meat of the data is kind of over this way. That can't be right. I've only got 60 data points. That can't be 50. What am I looking at wrong? That's not 50. That's 25, friends. Hang on. Hang on. 17.
Set your Y max.
Yeah, the first Y mark is like.
Thank you. I realize now I only have 60 data points. Call me on that, friends. So Y max is 31.
So I put
Maybe it's because it's -8. Let me change this to 0.
Yeah.
That might work it, yeah? And then make this 25 and make 5s maybe?
I mean,
Or 20? Is that what you did?
That's what I was.
20.
it's the highest is 18. So.
There we go. This looks, that makes more sense. 17 plus 18, that's going to add up to 60 now. Okay. Felt better. It's still weird though. Oh no, it's not. That tick mark that I saw was the first tick mark at 25. It's the -8 that was screwing it up. Let me slide this up so it's
See your window again?
Of course! And remember, the finagling of the windows, all we're doing is making it look like, so you like it. This whole scaling change is not changing it at all. So that's what we're set to right now. JT said the highest count of anyone was like 24 or something like that, or 23. Something like that. And this one right here, whatever that is. So that's the window we've got. That's okay, they're tough, they can handle it. There we go. So the idea, really, we're not looking for pure, perfect precision. I'm looking for the shape of the data. What does the data appear to be? Highly skewed. Why do we care if the data is highly skewed?
Because then we can't make any inference about bell-shaped data.
See, the problem is we can't use all those cool things about bell-shaped data when the data is highly skewed. You can't do the 2 standard deviation bit if you got skewed data, because the skewed data breaks the rule of the if. If the data is symmetric, if it is unimodal, if it follows a rough bell shape, you aren't entitled to use those cool kind of 95, 68, 50, 90, whatever, 100% guidelines. And the problem is the area, I mean, if you think about where the average is, the average being over here, it kind of makes sense that it has to be over here. Because think of this as that plate of cookies that you're balancing. You do not balance it over here. My friend, the 2,000 friends is knocking that down. You've got to move the average closer to that person in order to balance the tray of cookies. Therefore, this is not like the chicken data for your exam on Thursday, which comes out being pretty much perfectly bell-shaped-ish. I mean, it's perfectly bell-shaped-ish enough. This is definitely not. This is what I would call highly skewed, very classic highly skewed. We could make it bell-shaped if we could somehow go back over here and finish off this tail. That doesn't make any sense. Then you have negative friends, which doesn't make any sense at all, right? 0 has to start and stop at 0. Cool! So, the reason why, this is slightly backwards. It's slightly backwards. Usually, you'd make the graph first, before calculating the average and the standard deviation, to decide if you even should calculate the average and the standard deviation. There is a rule you can use about skewed data and standard deviations called Chebyshev's theorem. I've got a quiz. If you want to do it, I'll put it up for next week. Most students don't do it. It's totally fine. I don't know if it's because of his name, because it's Russian, duh, comrade. But it's a very neat way to apply standard deviations to skewed data. Hardly anybody ever uses it. Most textbooks include a nod to it, so I figure I'll put it as a quiz. If you want to look at it, you can. If you don't want to look at it, you don't have to. It's up to you. It's up to you. Cool? So we got an average, we got a standard deviation, then we're smart enough to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be looking at that. Maybe we shouldn't be looking at the average and the standard deviation. Maybe we should look at something else that ignores the outlier quantity. So that's where page 2 comes in on the quiz. That's where page 2 comes in on the quiz. All right.